Okay, here we go. Now we're officially live. Okay, here we go.
Are we live, John?
We're live.
Are we live?
John, are you all right? You ready?
Well, let me think about this.
Okay. You're gonna play your Rage Against the Machine that I'm gonna cut out of the show anyway.
What? Don't cut that.
Okay.
Dude,
Well, we have to.
nuts.
We have to for copyright.
All right. Can we play like 30 seconds of it?
13.
All right, let's count.
How come everybody has a different number for the
1,
copyright?
2, 3,
Get
4,
loose now.
5, 6, 7.
It's a good song. All right, ready?
It's a really good song.
John Edit here. Hello and welcome to Grumpy Old Teachers.
Rawr.
Back to school edition. Back to school edition. What? Back to school. Summer's over.
No. Oh, John. I had my first long summer in a long time.
I know you're gonna have to talk about that in a second here. We've got some stuff to talk about with you, young man. I'm John Samuelson. I'm in Portland, Oregon. You know what? I got a email the other day from somebody saying that they were very interested in my podcast site, and then they called me by my legal name, which is Charles. And I said, have you really listened to the podcast? Because I introduced myself in the first 3 seconds of every podcast, pretty much ever, because it's all about me.
Charles Samuelson.
Yes, Charles Samuelson. That's my grandpa and my dad. Those were Charles Samuelsons too. Boy, I'm glad I stopped that. I'm glad I stopped
Charles Schultz.
I like Charles Schultz. I'm in Portland, Oregon, representing Chi-Town, though. And down in the SoCal, we have the one, the only. Is he going to say his real name? Here he goes. His name is?
And Cosma.
Oh my gosh, it's Ann Cosma?
Yeah.
Take a selfie.
Whoop.
How come you know what? Ann Cosma can be talking about students, but yet she always figures out a way to put herself like smiling in like some corner of the picture. I don't know. Sometimes it's the bottom corner. Sometimes it's the top corner.
He's awesome.
Ann Cosma is a selfie legend, and I feel like she might be a little bit of a camera hog.
No.
I'm just saying. You think so?
Not at all, man. I think she's legit.
I think, you know what? I think she's legit, but I'm just saying. I think she likes her picture in every picture.
She looks like a famous actress. I won't say who.
I don't know who she looks like. We'll have to think about that. I don't know.
Very famous comedic type actress. Well, let's get on with the show. Anne's like,
okay, let's go to the show. So you're gonna really introduce yourself, Ann Cosma? Former Teacher of the Year, and his name is Scott Bedley. What, I have to do everything now to you?
Former Teacher of the Year, just
now I know how Tim Bedley feels. He has to carry you on the show.
Pretty much, John.
So so let's talk a little bit. So Bedley Brothers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a different podcast real quick, because I am interested in this.
There's some great podcasts out there, by the way, right now.
Right. You know what? Scott and I were just talking a little bit recently, and we decided that I don't promote this show at all. So if you ever get a chance and you liked it, like Scott, we got a comment the other day that somebody said that they thought the episode was very entertaining and funny, the last episode.
It was just anonymous. Episode, John, like 2012?
It was like, yeah. No, it was like from last month, but
okay.
I think that I like when we get little comments like that.
I do.
So if you want to make if you want to make a little comment, that's great. But also, you can share the episode with somebody, because I'm not going to promote it. But on the other hand, Bedley Brothers are talking to some real people. So who is your first kick off the new school year episode, Scott?
You want to share our guests?
I do.
Okay, so we had Shanna Peoples. She was the 2005 Teacher of the Year. She's from Texas.
Wait, John, is it Shanna Foster the Peoples?
Foster the Peoples.
I like Pumped Up Kicks.
Yeah, Pumped Up Kicks, man. And she pumped up the show. She is now
Wow, they're looking at you. You're hyping already. Boy, look at that.
she's at Harvard right now trying to get her not trying, she's gonna get a doctorate, but she's getting her doctorate in education right now. It's like
It's
she's a
insane.
brilliant lady. And then John, we have John Hattie, the Dr. John Hattie coming on. We've got Dr. Robert Bjork coming
Wait,
on.
you have Dr. John. I used to love him in the 70s with the piano.
we've
Oh,
we've
Dr.
got
John Hattie. Okay.
we've got Dr. John Sweller coming on. I mean, this is honestly, I can tell you this from my heart. We haven't had a better lineup than this. Like the people that we have coming on are not only well, they're always smarter than us, but they are
Well, that's a given. Well, you,
globally globally impacting learning
not
and
Tim.
memory and education and understanding. Like I've changed my whole philosophy how I'm going to teach this next year, John, based on a 20-minute interview with Dr. Robert Bjork. Like I'm completely changing the way I teach this year
Wait,
because of that conversation.
are you interviewing music people? Did you say you're just interviewing Bjork? Oh my God, I love Hyper Ballad. That's one of my favorite songs of all time. And I loved
Well,
her in the Sugar Cubes.
she's got the swan outfit
Okay.
on and
So
everything.
this doesn't hold well though for the next year because it sounds like you're getting all these people that are going to Harvard and have doctorates. So like I still think you're missing the 1 year when you interviewed the Techlandia crew, which I think was probably your best interview by far.
Well,
Um,
individually, that was our best interview, but just as a whole season, John, a whole
okay.
season, I'm saying like nothing has impacted me more than the conversation we've had the last, 5 or 6 shows that we recorded for this new season. It's crazy. Let's talk about forget Deadly
Let's talk
Brothers.
about, yeah, we
Let's
need
talk
to go.
about
I
something
just wanted
real.
to talk about, wait, so, and then you have a sponsor too, right?
Hey, listen
Because
wise.
no way, because I want them to know that you can sponsor our shows on Techlandia, but if you sponsor the Bedley Brothers, I feel like we should give them a shout out. So let's give them a shout out on this show
Well,
too. It's like a bonus for them.
regardless of whether or not they sponsor whoever, I was already using ListenWise, and they reached out and they're like, "Hey,
Listen wise, okay.
yeah, ListenWise." And what it is, it's totally they've taken all these really great NPR stories, and they've boiled it down to like 2 or 3 minute audio stories that your kids can listen to. They've got quizzes available. It's just an awesome tool to use for auditory comprehension, which is never, never easily accessible in a nonfiction like realm, John. I can find fiction stories that I can have audio stories and the kids listen to those things. But nonfiction is really hard to find. ListenWise makes it super easy and it's super
So
good quality content that's all curated, John, that I can find based on whatever content I'm teaching class.
so it sounds kind of like you know how everybody loves Newsella because you can like get the Lexile level to the
Right.
readers or whatever, but it sounds like it's an audio version kind of like Newsella, but NPR style. I think it plays well
Totally.
in Portland. I saw them at
Totally.
ISTE. I talked to them. They were in the startup booth session.
Super great people. The lady that started, she was a journalist for like 20 plus years, so she gets it. And she has a true like John, I've talked to her. She has a true passion for impacting education in a way that's not being done right now, and that's through ListenWise. It's an awesome tool, and I'll use it regardless of if we sponsor it, like whatever the sponsorship issue is. I will use that tool because I know it's good for my kids.
Listen wise, you heard it here first. You can try that out this year. That's our first back to school little thing right there.
Yeah,
That's why I wanted to bring up the Bedley Brothers. See, I was just trying to give them a little bit more for their sponsorship buck. By
you
the way,
know,
if you'd like to sponsor us, Joe's Pizzeria has dropped our sponsorship for parochial teachers, and they are not sending us the free large pepperoni anymore. So
oh
that
man,
one.
it
All
was
right,
hard for them to
so
send half to Oregon and half to Southern California.
that's right. That was the biggest challenge, right? By the time you got there, it was just like, oh, forget it, you know.
Well, the cheese was
So anyway,
awful.
so we thought so we thought our last show, I mean, we're not going to toot our own horns or anything, but we actually kept it under an hour and we felt like we were focused and we hadn't done a podcast in so long. We're gonna keep with it, and we have a couple of topics today, and actually one of them was given to us by one of our listeners, Catherine Beard, and she's Readers Lead PD. If you want to follow her on the Twitters,
Dude, definitely
Readers
follow
Lead
her.
PD. She is so full of energy. If you ever, I've met her down in the Arizona K-12 Center a bunch of times. She's so full of energy.
Great positive energy too.
Positive energy. And she was like, you know what she said that was kind of funny was she was telling me about all right, so let's talk about this real quick. Flipgrid. Okay, Flipgrid.
Wait a second, John. I just saw.
Have you heard of it?
17,000 people post that they're now Flipgrid certified.
Really? All right. So I mean, right? Because I think all you have to do is open.
Wait, John. This just in. Everybody loves Flipgrid.
I know, and you know how I know?
Hey, John.
Because I see it in the Twitter feed constantly.
It just won Best of ISTE again.
For 2018 in Chicago already.
Yes, already it's Best of 2018 with their updates and everything like that.
Right. I can't believe the updates they made next year for Flipgrid. Well, so anyway,
and I love Flipgrid. I'm sorry. I'm just like
it's a good tool. But all right, people. All right, I'm doing this as a PSA for me to you. We don't need to hear that you're Flipgrid certified anymore. It's like you open an account and you make a Flipgrid and get like 5 people to respond and you're certified. Okay, we get it. It's cool. Video responses. I like it. It's cool. I'm going to try and push it in my district. But holy cow, can we quit hearing about it? Like, oh my gosh, Flipgrid fever hashtag. Flipgrid did this. Oh my gosh, the video did that. And the update.
Darling event.
Oh, we went. I know. I'm like,
it's the
gosh,
darling
people, come on. Oh, I'm like, okay, we get it. We get it.
There's so many applications for it, though, John.
I know. For people actually interacting with each other, I know. You know what else people could do? Mystery Skype. Scott, have you heard of those?
No. Is that a new thing?
Do you know you can Skype with people, and like they don't even have to be in the same state as you. You could like talk with other classes or like experts in their field. It's really cool.
That's pretty amazing.
But, right, John, I don't need to hear about it all the time.
Google has this thing where you can create a phone number, and people can call in, and they can kind of do the same thing as a video response, but with like an audio response.
Oh my gosh!
And it's not but Flipgrid is legit though. Like it organizes it. I can send a video thing out to the kids, and all the new upgrades. Holy
it's cool. It's cool. I just want to hear about it 7 million times. These 17,000 people, we need to put a muzzle on you. Okay, we get it. Okay, it's cool. I don't think there's anybody on Twitter that hasn't heard of Flipgrid.
Hey John, want to hear something even cooler than this? Is that I have a friend who teaches somewhere, I won't even say where, who was like, Flipgrid's great. He started using it last year. His district people sent him an email saying, you must stop this immediately. You're not allowed to do this. There's student images. Block. Stop.
Even though they can lock it down, it doesn't matter.
Cease and desist. Yeah, even though it was like he was using it within Canvas, password protected. And it was like there's no student information connected with the video. Like there's no names. There's no like. I was like, oh my gosh! But this guy's district shut him down on Flipgrid.
Well, so that's what Catherine was telling me. So she loves Flipgrid, and she's like, I can't use it though. My district's put the kibosh on it, and so I just said, okay. And I'm like, well, I love workarounds, right? Like, there's no IT director that could contain me if I want to do something. Like, I'll find a way around it, and that's why they don't like me. But I was like, all right, so what?
John
I just said, well, I said, so what do you have? And she's like, well, we can do Edmodo, and I'm like, well, so why don't you do this? Why don't you just post
Edmodo? What's that?
I know, right? But so I'm like, why don't you just post your question on Edmodo or Google Classroom well, they couldn't use Google Classroom. That was one of their other things. So I'm like, why don't you just post the question and then limit the kids to a 2-minute video response, and they can use iPads and just post the video up there. And it's kind of the same. I mean, it's not as easy, but you would get the same results, and they can reply to
I mean,
your.
could you do it within a Google folder and like save it into Google
I
Drive?
mean,
Like,
right? There's gotta be some workarounds. So if you think of any workarounds, tweet at Readers Lead PD.
it's not
That's
going to
fine.
be as easy and like convenient and
Right.
response wise as Flipgrid. Like they've done it well. Like I'm not like let's not
Right.
like joke around about this. They actually have done something really innovative and done it well. And you could find workarounds about it, but what's
Right.
really interesting is why as a district would you want to like stop this thing from happening?
Right. Why? Right. Exactly. That's so silly. But right. And yeah, I think the other thing that they've done geniusly is they've made people psychotically promote it with their ambassadorship or
Oh,
whatever people. And it's just like, okay, I get it,
but
but
it's been one of the
it's all
best like hey, I'm not getting paid anything, but I'm going to promote this like crazy. Like
right.
it's been one of the best ones that I can like ever
I
maybe.
can't remember. I can't remember anything that's really caught fire like this, where people are just psychotically tweeting Flipgrid this and Flipgrid that, and look at my Flipgrid
Tagging in
and comment on my
pictures.
Flipgrid. But it's almost like I feel like it's like the songs. It's like what was the Justin Timberlake song from the Trolls movie last year? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like Can't Stop the Feeling or whatever.
Can't stop
Can't
the
stop
feeling.
the feeling. It's like I liked it at first. I'm like, oh, I love it. It's Justin Timberlake. And now I'm like, oh my goodness, be quiet. I almost don't even want to like use Flipgrid now because people are overly obsessively tweeting about it.
Well,
So
and
please
the
stop
the
because
other thing is
I'd
like
like to use it.
this reminds me a little bit, John. I'm not completely, but when Periscope came out, right? Everybody was trying to be the
Oh my
Periscope
goodness.
leader. They were
Yes.
trying to have everything on Periscope. We're gonna have a Periscope chat. We're gonna have a Periscope this. It was kind of like almost too crazy Periscope. Although I really still believe like Flipgrid is a quality tool that you could use in a lot of ways in the classroom. So very different than Periscope and things like that.
Right. Periscope,
Uh,
like if you
but it
watch
reminds me
Periscope,
of that like slightly, right?
yeah, it did catch on, right? Periscope caught on, and then it's like, okay, and then it's like, here, we're gonna show off this, we're gonna show off that. But then if you looked at, if kids looked at Periscope at 11 p.m., it's like somebody's dorm room and dorm room hijinks at 11 p.m. That's not what I don't need to see that live. I'm too old for that. I don't need to see any of that stuff. So yeah, Periscope kind of died out, didn't it? That's interesting.
It did, but a lot of people jumped on it, right? A
Oh
lot
my
of people
God,
in
yeah.
education jumped and try to be the leader in it, and it feels like that with this tool, but like times 10 or times
Right. And I feel
20
like
or times
I thought
100 or
people
times 1,000, whatever.
I feel like people didn't fully understand Periscope also, and like the internet things that could happen on the wide open interwebs. But Flipgrid, Flipgrid's safe. Why would you? I don't understand why you not let people use that as a district. That just seems like, well, it seems like what we're going to talk about. Okay, so let's talk about
But
it.
I
So
mean,
we
it's
have a
it's
couple things
image
we're going to talk
based,
about.
right? So you can see,
Right? Yeah. Why
and
are people
like
so hung up
ultimately
on
we
that?
want to protect kids, like John, like right? I mean, that's ultimately
Sure.
like we want to protect kids, like number one. But we also want to provide a tool that's closed. I mean, it's closed. It's not like
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
publishing it on YouTube or something like that. This is a
No.
closed video, posting page that where kids can answer verbally to questions, or you can do so much with this.
To
I
people
don't
all
know.
around the world.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know either. And even YouTube, it's like, just make the video unlisted and put it up there and then share it with who you want to share it with. It's not out there if you make it unlisted.
right.
It's like, get over yourselves. And so anyway, so Catherine was telling me about that. So she actually directed me to something that's a little near and dear to my heart, which is the great state of Texas. Do you have any
Woo,
dun,
Texas,
dun, dun, dun? I don't know what songs we have.
deep in the heart of Texas.
Okay, so it was funny because it was just a 2-minute video. And Scott, did you watch it? I know you didn't watch the movie Boyhood. Did you watch this video?
I did watch the video and the news
Okay,
story.
there we go.
about
good.
what happened in Texas.
Okay, so here's
standardized testing,
surrounding
John.
scenarios testing. Okay, so and basically what it is Fort Worth is I think one of the nicer towns in Texas actually, and so in Fort Worth it's in the Metroplex area of Texas,
Is that
which
where
is
the
the Dallas-Fort
Cowboys
Worth
are?
area. The Cowboys are actually closer to Fort Worth than they are to Dallas. So when there's two schools on this news report that were talking about the state taking them over, and so they were talking about the
Wait, what do
things
you
that they
mean
were
taking
trying to
them over,
change.
John?
So there is a great, I know this because of the Texas Education Association, the TEA as it is. They're really good. I remember one time I was trying to submit some paperwork to renew my license, and their format only worked with Internet Explorer. So, and this is, not that long. I would say probably 2012, maybe 2013. Not talking about a ton of years ago. And I'm like, you do know that Internet Explorer is pretty much obsolete and everybody's using kind of like Google Chrome or Safari or Firefox, right? And so that was one of the things. So TEA, not really a forward-thinking bunch on this one, as a lot of state education agencies are. So I already, I remember when I did my license with them, and I'm like, oh my God, you guys are so bad. You need to update big time. You don't know what's going on. So anyway, so they're talking about taking over if these two schools in Fort Worth don't go over there. So I thought the funny thing was, so the first thing they did, so this is their plan for helping these schools. The first thing they did is they changed their names from like whatever school. So let's say it's Lincoln School, which that isn't one of them, but to Lincoln Leadership Academy. Right there, Scott. What do you think about that first change? They change it from school to Leadership Academy.
Well, I mean, I do believe that words are really influential on how.
But they won't hurt. They'll never hurt you.
But I don't know. So they. Okay, go ahead, Sean.
I feel like we've said some words on this show where they've hurt.
I've said enough.
Okay, so so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail you with that one, but right. Okay,
no, it's like Leadership Academy, like oh.
So, but do you know
doesn't
why?
Really
do you
mean
remember do you remember why they did that? So they were trying to attract top administrators. So
right.
if they call it Leadership Academy, so let me just kick this scenario for you. Let's say
they're trying to attract not only top leadership, but top teachers as well.
Teachers, right? Okay, so that they feel like the word Leadership Academy will do that.
I think they felt well. Okay, so the superintendent of all those schools said, "Hey, most of our schools are doing really well."
He said 89% of them are passing.
Right. So it's like, I don't know, man.
I don't, right, exactly. So there you go. Okay, so Leadership Academy to me, so that's their first change. And they said they did that because they wanted to attract. So all right, let me say I'm a teacher, first-year teacher. Even if I'm a first-year teacher in Fort Worth, if they don't change the name of the school, but they just go, it's not Lincoln School anymore, it's Lincoln Leadership Academy. I'm going, oh, isn't that the school that's failed for 5 years? Am I really transferring there? I mean, it's like, no, you can put lipstick on a pig, and that's a very Texas saying right there, but it's still a pig, right? So
I thought that was Alaska.
It might have been Alaska. So all right, so then here's their second one. So if you're a teacher that stays there for 3 years or more, you get a $10,000 bonus.
John, I've just moved there.
Right. Now, what they don't tell you is in Texas, teachers are severely underpaid. I moved to Oregon from Texas, and I am making a lot more money than I was. And you can tell me about
if we had
cost
sound
of living
effects,
and all that stuff. Yeah, if we had sound effects and the old Google Hangouts, we do the cha-ching cash register one.
Thank you,
and
Google
then I would throw
Hangouts.
in a boom, Mr. McKnology. So that was their other one. So would that entice you to stay, Scott Bedley, if you knew that at the end of 3 years you'd get $10K?
I mean, if I wanted to live in
before
Texas,
Texas.
but I have so much family in California. I don't want to live in
No, no, no,
Texas.
no. But all right, all right, let's just say this. Let's throw the scenario in California then. You're going to go to a school that's really been doing poorly with its test scores. Are you going to
Kindergarten.
transfer there since you just, especially since we still haven't talked about your school transfer yet,
If
since
I
you
could
have
work for
transfer skills?
Jerry,
Hmm.
Jerry, kindergarten,
Okay.
and
Oh, Jerry, that does the um. I'm going to put
kindergarten,
what state is he from? I
Texas.
forget. He's not from Texas. He's from
Yeah,
somewhere
he
else.
is from Texas.
No, I bet you money on that one. He's from
I'll
like,
bet money on that one too.
okay, so we're
I
gonna
want
bet
to
on
go
that
to
one. The
kindergarten.
Principal Jerry that does the stuff.
Kindergarten.
I feel like he's really playing into that too much now. I feel like he was funny at first, but I feel like now he's just reaching
I don't know.
terrible. And then they go to the Walmart, and he's he. I feel like he
Jerry,
used to be true to
don't
himself.
believe
This
Jerry
is
Brooks is like legit. Is that what you're
is
saying?
he?
He's
Are you gonna have
legit,
him on the
dude.
Bedley Brothers?
No, but I would love to.
I would love to have him on Techlandia, but there is no
I've asked
Techlandia.
him. He's like not responded. He's too big.
Really?
Yeah, he's too
He's
big.
that big? Well, he's not a doctor of anything, is he? He's not Doctor Jerry
He's a
Brooks, so you can't have
doctor
him
of
on the show.
YouTube, and
Yeah, I think he's a
he's
doctor of playing up the
kindergarten.
stuff. Here's what we do at the staff meetings. We're gonna make them, and I'm like, okay,
We
come on,
got
Jerry.
buttons for the kindergartners.
I got buttons for the kindergartners because kindergartners don't know anything.
But he's funny. I love
Um,
that guy.
okay, so the one of their second thing. So, school in California.
Yeah,
You're gonna go there you're gonna go there if it's 10K after 3 years.
yeah, I am.
You get 3,300 a year. That's incentive to you.
Yeah,
If you only picture yourself only making 45 grand now, is that incentive to you?
if I
Because
could
that's
now
about what they
make
make in
55
Texas.
grand, yes, it's incentive.
But it's just a one-time bonus, right? Before taxes.
It's
That's
only
the
a
way I
single
understand it.
time. It's not like ongoing.
It's just a one-time bonus for 3 years. You think it's
Yeah,
10,000 each
I would go
year?
there because the reality is, if I stay where I'm at, I'm not going to get that bonus.
Okay, right. Because they don't make a lot in Texas. So that's a pretty big bonus. Okay, so
10 grand,
second
yeah.
one is they're staying open until 6 p.m. What do you think about
Do
that?
I have to stay there until 6?
You might have to. That might be
Or is
part of
this
your
like
bonus. Maybe,
supplemental teaching or
and
what?
I'll tell you what, in Texas, there's no union, so you're not really getting compensated for your extra
Hmm.
time.
I mean, I typically, John, I stay until
I know
6
you
p.m.
do.
anyways.
Right.
And I
But you're
get there
just
at
trying to
6
not do
a.m.
you're just trying to avoid, you're just letting Kristen do all the work and you're trying to avoid like doing the dishes and stuff,
Yeah,
right?
right. I wish.
That's
I
why I
would
told her to
much
work at
rather
this
do
bar.
dishes, John, than all the stuff
Papers,
I'm doing.
and
Trust me.
grade all the homework you're giving out.
Yeah.
So they're gonna do. Thank you for that one, Alice Keeler. Also, they're gonna do some building renovations. I think that's important. What do you
Yeah,
think?
no, I think it's important to have like a building
Your
that you
school
feel
looking good.
comfortable at.
Now, would it be money better funneled instead of building renovations? Would it be money better funneled like giving the teachers a little budget for like flexible seating and things like that?
Yeah, no, I would give the teachers the money all the time.
Right, but that's what I'm thinking. So like, right, you can install a new water fountain and that's all great and stuff. But what if you just skip that and then gave the teachers some like some maybe stand up desks,
Well, I
some.
mean, the argument is, John, that not every teacher is going to get wobbly seats and bean bags and low desks and or low tables or whatever. So the the kind of like argument
So
is
you
like
think like throw
that's
in
not going to
some paint on the
happen.
wall? Right, right. Okay. I think maybe you could do a combination of a little bit of both. Here's one. Speaking of Ann Cosma, by the way, so she's been, you know how she is. She's tweeting
She's
up a
legit.
storm at the beginning of the year, right? She just started
Yep.
up, but so she's so is it? I
I think
wanted
they
to.
gamify their entire district, dude.
Oh, I'll have to look at that stuff. I know we've been talking about the gamification a little bit, haven't we? So
Yeah.
I was just thinking, is it flexible seating to you, Scott? Because I saw this picture. I almost tweeted, but I don't want to be snarky because I love Ann Cosma. But
I'm pretty snarky about
is it
flexible seating versus
okay?
versus
I'm
just
a little bit
it's not
snarky about
flexible.
flexible
It's
seating.
just like comfortable seating. What's like flexible and
Right. So
uncomfortable?
that she had all those little like you know, they had the ball they she took a picture and every seat was the same and it was all like those little, you know, like bouncy ball chairs.
Mm.
All bouncy ball chairs. That's not flexible seating to me because there's no difference. Like if I move down to a different, I'm not going to get a chair that's solid. Maybe I want a chair that's solid. Maybe I don't want one of those little
So
big ball things that I can
for
bounce
me,
up and down
John,
on.
for me, what like I start with flexible seating as I need to provide choice for my
Options,
students,
choices. Right. Thank you.
and
Okay, that's what I'm
choice
saying.
is empowering. So I provide choice in language arts, I provide choice in math, and I provide choice in seating. So, and I try to provide choice in everything I do. So if
Yeah.
it's flexible, I think implies choice. I don't know if everyone would
Right.
agree with me. Some people might argue that. So, but I would
I don't
say
see.
like
Right.
I
I
want a
don't see how
low
they could.
table, I want standing tables, I want high tables,
Yes.
I want regular tables, regular desks. I want whatever a kid might like and feel most comfortable learning it. That's what I want. So,
Right. And
I
I feel like I'm a TOSA, right? So I sit there and just
are you?
sit on my tush all day, right? I don't really do anything. I go to
Do
Starbucks,
you get
but
lattes?
sometimes I want to drink my latte at a low table, but sometimes I want to drink it at a standing desk. And I think that's flexible. I
John,
don't want the same thing all the
you're making
time.
me angry,
Some
dude.
sometimes I want a peppermint mocha and I want to sit at a table and have a peppermint mocha. But sometimes I would like a raspberry latte, and I'd like to stand and get some work done.
I have like one day left to go to Portola Coffee, by the way.
Oh, I know that's so nice.
I love Portola
Well,
Coffee.
so anyway, so that's their. So we talked about that a little bit, Catherine. I hope that that conversation satisfied you a little bit, but that
Yeah.
was kind of that was it for all their stuff. But what I kind of wanted to go in was another thing I saw, and Scott, I saw this on the Facebook.
The Facebook?
And it's
The
the Facebook, I
Facebook?
know. You know how much I like the Facebook, and I
The
haven't been looking at
Facebook?
the Face but I've been looking at Zuckerberg's master website here
Uh-huh.
and talking about principals. And so the thing was, teachers quit principals, they don't quit schools.
Uh,
And I kind of read it and I was like, that's kind of an interesting conversation. And then the thing that went
that's an
kind of went with it
uncomfortable
was
conversation for a lot of people.
right. And I mean, it's especially uncomfortable because I just worked with all of our district principals today, and the people I worked with were great. I really think that in Beaverton School District,
Mm.
I would be honest, I feel like the principals there are the best ones out of any district that I've worked at. I feel like they're good.
Yeah,
Or
no,
you don't
no.
know, but there's a lot of them that like come up and talk to you, and there's definitely a difference. Like as even as like I don't know like all of them because we have 50 something schools and more assistant principals, but as they come, there are some that come in that are really like friendly and nice, and they go, "Hey, how are you doing?" Or they'll come up and talk to me, and basically at that meeting, I'm kind of an intruder. I'm kind of like the peasant coming in. Like I felt like I should have like a butler's uniform on or something like that, and trying. But we led some pretty good PD with them
You
today.
felt like you should be a butler.
I held the door for the whole thing when they went in the auditorium, and they're like, "Thank you." Some of them are like, "Thank you," and then there are some that pass by you, and they're like, "Yes, thank
Did
you, sir.
anybody
You
tip
should
you?
do that." I think some of them thought about it, but nobody tipped me because they make the big bucks. But I feel like our administrators are good. But so it begs the question. So we can take it from a different thing. I feel like I've moved, like when I almost moved out of teaching, which there was a time back in the day, 10, 12 years ago, where I almost just gave up on teaching. And the reason I did was because of a miserable principal,
Mm,
right? I mean, I've named her before on this. I'll name her again. But I won't because I don't really care. But I mean, she's a horrible, terrible person.
right.
And I feel like she would stab anyone in the back to climb the ladder. So I feel like that's the problem. I feel like there's a problem. I feel like people get to be principal and then they're not satisfied. Why are people like your dad was administrator of the year, right? Gene Bedley. He could be a sponsor of our show. We would just sponsor Gene Bedley just because
Yeah.
he's nice, right? But
Yeah,
so
no,
Gene
he was
Bedley,
a national
national
educator of the
speaker,
year for PTA,
yes. So
along with like numerous awards. Yeah.
right, so Gene Bedley, who I've met and had conversations with,
Yeah.
he's a super genuine, nice person, and I feel like there's people like Gene Bedley that are content being like, okay, I'm going to take this school and I'm going to make it the best school I can and stay there for as long as possible. Did he move around a lot as principal?
No,
I'm asking. No, not at all.
he did not. Okay, so some districts have the like the philosophy that we're going to move principals every 5 years. He stayed
I
at
think it's
his
so silly.
site
I think it's so
where
silly.
he actually made an impact. 25 years?
25 years at the same school.
I could be wrong. It's either 20 or 25 years. It
But
was a
still,
long time.
don't you feel like that's so rare nowadays?
Super rare.
Right. I don't feel like people stay. So I guess my question is, all right, so I won't go into all the bad principles that I've had, and I won't even go into all the good principles I've had because there's been good ones too.
Yeah.
But like, what
Like
do
Kurt Reese.
do like right like Kurt Reeves, but even Kurt Reeves just switched schools. Like he just switched. This is only he's starting his second year in his new district in La Crosse.
Wisconsin?
So I mean, even Wisconsin, right?
Is he in Wisconsin now?
Kurt Reeves is not only is he Wisconsin principal or Whisk principal as we used to call him on the Twitters, but he's still never been to Milwaukee. So I don't see how that's even possible. But what yeah, I don't know what the answer is to why people aren't satisfied anymore, just kind of
The
staying
answer,
and making a
John, is
school really
move
good.
to Wisconsin and work for Kurt Reese.
I would love to have Kurt as a boss. I think it would be
Oh yeah.
awesome. All right, so we should see how long Kurt stays in. Look, I mean, he's now really close to his house and everything. I know that was one of his factors for moving. So, and he built his school, and he saw like he kind of helped with the construction, and then he left it, and he hoped he left it in good hands. But yeah, why? All right, so like I'll just say some names of EduFamous because EduFamous I don't think listen to this podcast anymore, but maybe they do. So like I saw that like on my LinkedIn, like Joe Mazza, who I've done like a webinar with, right? Joe Mazza, we've had him on Techlandia. Have you had him on Bedley Brothers?
We have not invited him on the event.
Okay, but so anyway, but right. So he was a principal. He left and went to like university. Now I see that he's working for some company.
Right.
Like on my LinkedIn thing. So he was like, so if I think of East Coast administrators,
You can't
like
not think of Joe Mazza.
Joe Mazza, right? Eric Scheninger, another one. He's not a principal anymore. He left that and he just goes out and speaks.
Are you working for Scholastic or
works for Scholastic? I'm pretty sure I saw like Tony Sinanis, what person we've had on Techlandia. I'm pretty sure I saw that he got promoted up the chain and now he's like a superintendent. Like his buddy San, so maybe San Filippo, who's another superintendent, a young superintendent too, I might add. I think San Filippo probably like put in like the word for him. San Filippo's like the godfather of superintendents. So he's like, okay, he's like Sinanis, make him a superintendent.
on the East
so I'm
Coast?
pretty sure, yeah, I think San Filippo even has that kind of pull on the East Coast now. So then he went over there. But so so all these people keep moving. And then I think about it as it applies to like educators, right? Like, all right, so you have Jeremy McDonald, great educator, but now he's working for Sphero. And I'm and it's hard. Or we had, even in our district, we have these two great teachers, Jennifer DiMartino and Jennifer Witten, and now they're assistant principals, like they're going up the chain now. But so then that leaves such a great void for teachers even, right? Because I'm like, wow, those are great teachers now that we're losing. And it's just like the cycle keeps going and going. But I don't know what you do to keep what do you do to keep administrators in place, and where did this little 5-year rule come from? Like, I'm just going to put a principal somewhere for 5 years and then
I don't know because I
they
don't know the
leave.
research. I don't know what's
Right.
behind the idea. I do know that I don't know actually, John. I was gonna try to
So
speculate, but
we
I'm
should
not
have
gonna
Gene on the
speculate
show
anymore.
sometime.
I just don't know.
Do you think there's anything we could do to keep principals in the same school? Like, why would they not be satisfied? Are they really are a lot of administrators really looking to move to the district office? And
I
is
don't
that
know,
like is
man.
it because of salary? Do you
There's a
think?
lot of climbing and vertical movement that happens, but um, I think it has to do with not wanting to deal with the fire that you get from all sides. I think the site principal gets a lot of fire from all sides, and it's a really tough job. And
Is it
you
right?
know,
Is the job too
I
tough?
respect those principals that are like site principals. I'm just like, wow, like it's tough what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's tough. I don't know what happens, but I do know that it's strange, and I think it's a strange phenomenon that when what can we do to keep principals in the same school and just like build that culture, because I think it's so important. Oh my gosh, Scott dropped out of the call. That's so interesting. Okay, wait. John. Oh, wait, here he comes back. Okay. So, there he is. Okay. So, I don't know. Right. And I don't know if it's like it's such a high stress thing. Scott, I will say that when I was in my young 30s, and it seems like so long ago, and I went through the administrator classes in Alaska because I was like on that track or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I went through their administrator stuff, and they basically kind of went through all these scenarios, and you do all these things, and then you were supposed to go up. And there was one other gentleman and I, and he actually worked with Marnie, and we would sit together. And then after we went through the whole year, and we went there every Wednesday for 2 hours.
Mhm.
um, I think the message that I got was at some point you're going to have to make a decision that we tell you to make, and it might not be morally correct, or it might not even be the correct thing for students or whatever, but are you going to toe the line, and can you make that decision? Can you make that tough call even if it's not correct?
Mhm.
And I think that this other teacher, Chris, and I looked at each other, and I was like, no, I can't do that. I'm going to do what I think is best. And we dropped out. We were the only two that dropped out of probably the 24 people, because I was like, I'm not going to be put in a situation where I'm going to make the wrong choice just because my like. All right, so let's even bring it back to the Flipgrid conversation.
Mhm.
I'm not going to ban Flipgrid at my school just because my district tells me that, oh yeah, Flipgrid, whatever. It's not. It's perfectly safe. I know what it is. I've checked it out.
Right.
I'm not listening to you,
Right.
right? And so I feel like that's why I could never be an administrator. They
Well,
would hate me.
it just it's just yeah, it's just so tough, John.
It's tough, right? Would you ever want to be a principal?
Yeah, there's times in my career that I've said like I want to
Do
not
something
necessarily be a principal, but I want to be a leader.
different. Hmm.
And so if that's a principal's role,
Yes.
like I want to take that. If that's whatever the role that falls into, I want to be a leader. What's happening in the classroom, what's happening at the school site, what's happening at in education. So yeah, I would want to do that. But
Right. So,
like the
right. Because you
reality
want
is
to be
like
a leader.
I
You
want to
want
lead the
change,
way I want to
positive
lead.
change.
So yeah, I want
Yeah.
positive change.
Yeah. Positive change and whatever you have to do. And I feel like there's room for people like you, though, that are positive change people. I feel like you know what? I feel like you'd be a good administrator, to be honest.
Thanks, John.
I feel like you could do it. I feel like I couldn't. I
I
feel like
feel
we're
like I could do a really good job at it.
yeah.
I feel like I have good relationship with parents. I feel like I have good relationship with
Yes.
other teachers.
That's
But
important.
it's I know it's a tough job. It really is a tough
It's
job.
a it's a tough job. So you have to balance, right. So that's the thing. I think I was really good with parents too. So it's like it's not only parent communication, it's You have to be good with your teachers on site and know the different
Right.
personalities of your teachers. You
Right.
have to really, I feel like if you're a smart principal, you get into classes and you know the students
Oh,
and you
totally.
know the students and all those things. And I feel like if you do those
Absolutely.
things, then the hard part is you still have to balance out like all the meetings that you have to go to from the district, like
No,
holding
it
you back,
really is.
right?
It's like a constant balancing it, like act for whoever steps into that role, and you can't help but respect them. But it's when you see the ones that are doing it well, that's when it's like, oh my gosh, they really get it because and it's not easy to do that job well.
Yeah. Well, I'll go back to one of my favorite principals in the Portland area, Tim Lauer. And so I remember that Tim Lauer is so good with technology and just like being, he's the Samuel L. Jackson of ed tech,
He
basically, right?
is.
With his Kangol hat. But so what he had is, and I still think that there's a lot of room for the beacon, like the beacon technology that it's kind of gone away a little bit, but you can
No, I mean, no
set
one's
them
no
to like
one's stepped
keep track.
forward on it.
Right. I feel like if I could program some beacons, it'd be great. But Tim got
Right.
some where he would, if he walked through his office, his cell phone would kick off, and so it would trip the beacon when he went through his office. And he had set a timer so that if he was there for 30 minutes and he was working, it would trigger a little alert for him on his phone, and then he would know that he's been working for 30 minutes, and he would get up and he'd go and walk around his school again. And that's how he said he effectively like visited classrooms and walked around. And I think all of his um, staff that was there at his school in Portland Public Schools, I think that they loved him. I think they loved working for him. I think it was a hard school to get into. And I think it was because he built the culture. He did so much with like building like gardens and like getting the community involved and like tearing down the field when it was bad so that he
He
could put stuff up. He
no,
had little
what you're
dances by
talking
the
about,
music
John, is
teachers.
you're talking about he was super high tech, but the things that built his school were
Weren't anything
not
to do
high
with
tech.
technology. Yeah.
They were totally community builders. And to me, that's Tim's amazing ability to recognize what the community needed over what he knew as far as his ability to implement technology. I mean, the guy was at like the first ISTE or whatever, right?
He was at the
So,
first he was in Iowa. Yeah.
right. So it's like he had the ability to recognize and read his communities well enough to shift what maybe he personally thought was the forward moving thing to what the community needed. So credit
Yeah.
to, I mean, Tim's legit, dude.
Yeah. Well, and then now he's working in the Evergreen schools in a different role, and he's not an administrator. But man, I think he's putting on a conference right now, and I think he's going to change the culture of that whole school district in Vancouver,
I don't
Washington.
doubt it. I don't doubt it at all.
I'm gonna watch him. You know what he started doing was I think he unveiled his future bus yesterday, which he totally got from us, which is
Yeah, I
fine,
think I've
right?
heard about a
And
future
that,
bus
I mean,
before.
yeah, you're right. But I mean, and thank goodness tomorrow's my last day of summer school working on the future bus. I'm tired of it already, but it's fun. It's fun, but boy, sometimes getting up on your summer break, it was just like,
You're
oh
not you're not
gosh.
making guitars with Kevin Honeycutt? What's up, dude?
No, we're doing Sphero miniature golf, and Miss Carter HLA is doing bloxels with them. So and then we flip flop, and they do a 20-minute rotation of each. It's just a little introduction. It's fun. We do the code, and we don't drive the Spheros. We code them. Forget it. We were doing pre-K
Nicole's
coding.
legit though, right? I mean, Nicole's awesome.
Yeah, Nicole's legit, and so she loves the bloxels. So anyway, all right. So as we start to wrap up here,
Yeah.
question: Tim Lauer, Tim Bedley, who wins in a wrestling match?
I
Tim Bedley, right? Because of the
I
kale
think Tim
diet.
Bedley because he works out
Yeah,
on the reg.
yeah.
The guy is he's now swimming.
Timmy,
He's now added swimming to his like
with
workout.
sharks.
Not only that is he's using sprouts. I don't know, man. It's hard to beat
He's using
sprouts.
he's swimming through sprouts and with sharks.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible that guy. He's
Whatever you
incredible. And
say about
besides to be
him
on,
doing it, exercise, I would say yes, that's right.
That's right. The pine needle diet that he's on.
That's right.
The kale, the amounts of kale that get delivered to his house are incredible. And you know what? Tim Lauer has pizza night all the time, and I just think that alone right there, just the eating. Tim Lauer has too much pizza,
Cheese versus
even though Tim's a
kale.
very fit guy
Kale
too.
wins out every time, John.
Yeah, yeah. Pizza versus kale. Sorry, Tim Lauer. But Tim Lauer's fit, and Tim Lauer could beat me up in a second. So I'll just say that.
I think he
Anybody,
has several times, hasn't
yes, he has. He's hit me over the head with a wet noodle a couple of times. Um, so anyway, I know how we can wrap this up. So with our administrators, speaking of going, our little department that is technology going low tech, we had the administrators do their breakout boxes today. We did.
Oh, cool, Johnny.
Have you done time work before?
I haven't done time work, but
Breakout box.
that's rad.
So it was really good to watch them, and I told them after both of my groups were successful, I told them that I was very proud that my kids were in a school district where administrators worked together and cooperated and communicated and didn't get frustrated with the breakout box. So I thought the breakout box is a great. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a cool thing to do to kickstart your school year with your students or with your staff or whatever you want to do. But we had a bunch of administrators afterwards go like, "Can I check one out for staff meeting?" So we checked. I think they're all checked out now. It's good. We have 12 of them right now. Just for this, we need to get more. So then, Scott, you've got your new school. So now we've got breakout boxes. But tell us
Well,
about your plan to break in.
well, okay, John. To like when the kids come, brand new school.
Brand
They're
new
coming
school,
from
Scott.
all different spaces, and I kept
Scott, what's the
rolling
name?
through
What's the
this
name
in
of the
my
school?
head. Yeah, I
What's the
kept
name of the
rolling
school?
through this in my head. Like, how do I build community? They're gonna have to break into my classroom, John.
That's
They're gonna have,
right.
they're gonna have 5 tasks, including like stick bombs and breakout boxes. Yeah,
Bribing the teacher
it's gonna be awesome. They're
with
gonna have to
jelly
break.
donuts.
Yeah, jelly donuts are good. They're gonna have to break into the classroom and together. That's the thing that I really want to like consider is like how do I build this community with these kids who are coming from all these different places and make them feel like this is my home. And I really look forward to that opportunity with them, and I'm excited to open a new school for sure.
Yeah, that's like a new challenge for you.
Yeah, I mean it's not the first time I've done it, but it's definitely a new challenge that I haven't faced in a few years.
How long were you at your other school? Your last school? You were there for a
Uh,
while, huh?
yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah, you over 10?
Yeah,
There you go. See, you had staying power. I think if you stay over 10, that's good.
yeah. And the rest of my career was not even close to that, but that
Hmm.
last like run was the time that I was like, I want to just dive deep in this grade level, see what I can do, and a lot of good things happen. But it's time to move on and try to do something cool and new.
That's good. Well, you know when it's time, right? When it's time, it's time.
It's time. It's probably time for me to go to bed right now, John.
Okay, so anyway, when Scott says he's going to have him break in, I can't believe that this is happening with the construction of his school. So I'll just say this. I hope that our school, but he's got an empty room next to him.
I do.
Just, it's
They have to go into that room. They're gonna have to do those tasks to break into their actual classroom. It's gonna be super cool, I think.
that's so cool. When I opened the one school in North Las Vegas, do you know that not only were we not finished on time, but we all of a sudden, like before we had even done, when we were like year-round school with tracks because of overcrowding and all that stuff and roving teachers and whatever, we were already in the closets within like the first 3 months. Enrollment came and changed, and we had no empty classrooms. And I'm like, who designed these schools? That's always, I mean, we talk about like classroom design. What about just architecture of schools needs to change a little bit with these schools that are being built? I'm interested to see
This
what you think
this
of
sounds like a
yours.
good next grumpy old teacher.
Maybe that'll be our next grump then, because
Yeah.
I'll have to see what our school. So the school that Scarlett's going to, they'll be temporarily at one of our new schools, and they've mowed down her school already. So they're going to build it from the floor up. So I'll see how I like that school. It's interesting. It'll be, I want to see some of our new school builds. I'm in one of them right now, and it's, they have some nice stuff in there. I'm not going to lie. And we're opening a new high school too. So that's cool. Anyway. All right, Scott Bedley, you need to go to bed, I think, my son.
Well, I think we both need to go to bed, but thank you so much. Whoever's listening this long, we appreciate it, right, Johnny?
Well, remember, right? But Scott, remember, let's not sell it short here. We were actually on topic, and I think we're going to get in under an hour on this one too. So, yeah, thank you, Christina Luce and Catherine Barrett, for listening. We appreciate you. And an anonymous person that leaves comments, feel free to leave a comment. And remember, anonymous person, if you didn't find this one as funny, please comment, and we'll try and do better next time. And we will catch you on the flip side.